Everyone knows this story. Digital cameras killed Kodak, the film dinosaur that couldn't see the future and got left behind. It's wrong, almost completely wrong. Because in 2005, Kodak wasn't some fading relic. It was the #1 seller of digital cameras in the entire United States. And here's the part nobody tells you. Kodak didn't just adapt to the digital camera, Kodak invented it. 30 years earlier, in 1975, inside a Kodak lab, one of their own engineers built the very first one. So this isn't a story about a company that missed the future. It's the story of a company that saw the future perfectly, built it with its own hands, and got destroyed by it anyway. The question is why? Why would inventing the future kill you? The answer is the most expensive lesson in business history, and it has nothing to do with cameras. It has to do with the one thing Kodak actually sold. This is the rise and fall of Kodak. To understand how Kodak died, you first have to understand how it made money, because it wasn't really a camera company at all. Go back to 1888. A former bank clerk named George Eastman has a radical idea. Take photography out of the hands of experts and give it to everyone. His slogan says it all. You press the button, we do the rest. And that little phrase hides the most brilliant business model of the 20th century. Eastman didn't get rich selling cameras. He practically gave the cameras away. The money, the real money, was in the film. Every photo you took, you burned a little of it. And when the roll was full, you paid Kodak to develop it, and then you bought another roll and another forever. The camera was a one-time sale. The film was a river of cash that never stopped flowing. Sell the razor cheap, make your fortune on the blades, and it worked beyond anyone's wildest dreams. By 1976, Kodak sold 90% of all the film in America. 90%. And 85% of all the cameras. That little yellow box was in every drugstore, every kitchen drawer, every family vacation on Earth. They even gave the feeling a name, a Kodak moment. At its peak, the company earned $16 billion a year, made $2.5 billion in profit, and employed 145,000 people. It looked utterly, permanently untouchable, but hidden inside that perfect machine was a single, fatal weakness. Almost every dollar of that profit came from one thing, the film, the stuff you use up. And that is a very dangerous way to be rich. Now back to that lab in 1975, and a 24-year-old engineer named Steven Sasson. His boss hands him a vague little side project. See if you can do anything with a new kind of electronic sensor. So he does. He wires it into a Frankenstein contraption the size of a toaster, 8 pounds of circuit boards and batteries, and it works. It captures a photograph. No film, no chemicals, nothing to develop, and saves it onto a cassette tape. It's black and white. It's 100 by 100 pixels. It takes 23 seconds to record a single image. It is, without question, the first digital camera ever made. Sasson is thrilled. He takes it to Kodak's management to show them the future. And the reaction? He remembers it perfectly. They told him it was cute, but he shouldn't tell anyone about it. Think about why. A digital photo needs no film, no developing, nothing to buy again, ever. Sasson hadn't just built a new camera, he'd built a machine that quietly murdered the river of cash Kodak floated on. His invention wasn't ignored because it was bad. It was buried because it worked. Kodak was trapped by its own success. To embrace the future, it would have to destroy the very thing that made it rich. And no company, almost no company on Earth, is brave enough to burn down its own golden goose. So they locked the future in a drawer and went right on selling film. Here's where the story turns and where the myth completely falls apart. Because Kodak didn't hide from digital forever. When it finally came for real, In the 2000s, Kodak charged straight at it, and they were good at it. Remember, they'd invented the thing. By 2005, Kodak had clawed its way to number 1 in digital camera sales in America, moving billions of dollars of them. On paper, it looked like the greatest comeback in corporate history. The dinosaur had evolved, except it hadn't saved anything. It had walked into a trap with no floor. Here's the brutal math. A roll of film sold for a fat, juicy profit, and then you came back and bought another. A digital camera, you sold it once, for razor-thin margins, and the customer never needed to buy film again. Ever. Every single digital camera Kodak sold didn't add to the business. It ate the old one. They were winning the digital war and losing money doing it, each victory quietly killing the film sales that were the only thing paying the bills. And then it got worse, because the digital camera Kodak fought so hard to win was itself about to be wiped out. In 2007, a company called Apple released a phone with a camera built in. Why carry a Kodak when the thing in your pocket did it for free? Kodak had fought for years to win the digital camera, just in time to watch the digital camera itself begin to disappear. By now, Kodak's leaders knew film was dying. They just bet everything on the wrong lifeboat. The new CEO looked at the future and decided Kodak's salvation was printing. Home inkjet printers, ink cartridges, another razor and blade stream. Sell the printer cheap, make it back on the ink. They poured billions into it, shut factories, and laid off tens of thousands of people. Around 50,000 jobs gone in just a few years. And it didn't work. The printer market was a bloodbath of competitors, and Kodak was late to that fight too. Meanwhile, the film empire simply evaporated. Think about the last time you bought a roll of film. You can't, can you? An entire century-old industry vanished from daily life in about a decade. And the company built for that world, the factories, the chemicals, the 145,000 employees, had nothing solid left to stand on. The end came on a specific day, January 19th, 2012. Eastman Kodak, the company that taught the world to take pictures, filed for bankruptcy. And now for the cruelest twist of all. Just 3 months later, a tiny company was sold. It had no factories, it made no cameras, it sold no film. It had 13 employees and an app for sharing photos on your phone. It was called Instagram, and Facebook bought it for $1 billion. Let that land. The world was taking more photographs than at any moment in human history. Trillions of them. And the company that invented the picture was worth nothing. There has never been a photograph of failure quite that sharp. So, one last time, what actually killed Kodak? It wasn't blindness. They saw digital coming decades before anyone. It wasn't cowardice at the end. They fought, they went digital, they got to number 1. It wasn't even that they missed the invention. They made the invention. Kodak did almost everything a company is told to do, and it died anyway. Because here is the thing they could never escape. Kodak's fortune wasn't built on pictures. It was built on the little bit of film you burned every time you took one. And the future they invented, the digital photo, was a future where you never burn anything again. Their genius and their doom were the exact same thing. You cannot cross a river when the bridge you're standing on is the thing you have to burn. In the end, Kodak was carved up and sold for parts. Its crown jewels, the digital patents it once locked in a drawer, were auctioned off for around $500 million to Apple, to Google, to Facebook, to the very companies that inherited the world Kodak saw first. It still exists today, a quiet shadow that prints for businesses, alive, but small enough to forget. And that's the lesson underneath all of it. Sometimes a company doesn't fall because it fails to see what's next. Sometimes it falls because it sees exactly what's next. And what's next has no place for how it makes money. Steven Sassen's little 8-pound machine wasn't a mistake Kodak overlooked. It was a warning they locked away because they couldn't bear to read it. If you want more stories of giants who built the future and were buried by it, subscribe and tell me in the comments whose rise and fall should we tell next.